In earlier tutorials, I demonstrated how to create a fluted shaft for a column and how to create a simple Doric capital. In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate one method to create a model that looks like a Corinthian capital. Corinthian capitals are the most complicated of the three orders of columns. Very often they have very complex leaf shapes of different sizes. So we're going to try to recreate something like that in SketchUp. I'm going to begin over here on the base of the Doric capital that we had before. I'm going to start by drawing a line straight up in the air, making sure that the line is blue because that's the blue axis. And I'm going to use that to help me draw a rectangle along the edge. Now that I have this rectangle, I'm going to make it a component. And I'm not going to name it at this point. I'm going to double click it to open it out a little bit. About 2 inches. And then I'm going to orbit around to the side. And I'm going to take this rectangle and I'm going to rotate it so that it tips at a slight angle to my capital that I have so far. Now I'm going to use the pan tool to move into my space and zoom in a little bit. I want to draw a circle near this component. So make sure that I've clicked out in space and I'm not actually drawing on the component, just connected to it. So I've drawn this circle. I'm going to take the circle and move it forward just a little bit with the move tool, so that it is touching the front part of the rectangle that I've drawn, and a little high like that. Okay. I basically want it to touch this corner, but just barely. Okay. Make sure that I'm still touching. Yes. All right. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And I want to draw an arc on the face of this circle. So I will take my arc tool and take my line up, not quite touching the top half, and then bring my arc along the surface there like this, so that I have a sort of a pointed edge. And I'm going to draw another arc this way, and I'm going to draw a straight line from here upward like that. Escape. Try to erase this line. So let me just see. I'm not sure why. Okay. Now I would like to select this inner space and push it away using the push-pull so that it entirely disappears. It's not disappearing, it's coming out the other end, so I'm going to undo this. And I'm going to try drawing another line here on the edge, and erase this line, erase that line. So we're going to do this a little bit differently. Alright, so now I have this shape. I will orbit around to the other side. Use my pan tool to come down. I'll select this shape, and I want to pull the shape across the other side of my rectangle there. So far, so good. Want to zoom out a little bit. Now I would like to make this a little bit more leaf shape, so I'm going to draw some lines from the corner of my rectangle, but I'm going to have to open that up first. So I'll take, once I have the blue dots, I'll draw a line from the corner, not quite to the center point. Select this area and push it away. And then do the same thing on the other side. Make sure that I have the blue dots. Take my pencil and draw a line. Select this space here and use my push pull to push it away. And I'm going to select my upper shape here and push it in just a little bit so that it doesn't stick out from the rectangle. Make sure that it doesn't push out on the other side either. Select this side and push it in. So I have a pretty good leaf shape. It's not quite perfect, but it's pretty good. I can modify some of these things a little bit. I could draw a line here and there and up again. So that this matched the upper surface of the rectangle. I'm going to try something a little different. Sometimes this works, sometimes not. I'm going to try to move this shape and see if I can move it so that it lines up with the rectangle there. All right. That would take a little bit too much time to do it that way, so I'm not going to. I will take this triangle here and pull it across instead. I'll pull it from the inside. Okay, so now that I have the shape that I want, I will select the whole piece here and make it a component. Now, most of the capitals would not just have a single leaf, they would have groups of 3. So I'm going to take that leaf shape and use Control Move to move a copy alongside of it and another copy on the other side. Then I'll use the Rotate tool to rotate this copy. Select this one. Use the Rotate tool to rotate that copy. And I would like to take the center copy and make it a little bit bigger than the others, so I'm going to use the scale to make it just a little bigger. So now I have a triple leaf shape that's ready to be used. I'm going to select all three by holding the Shift key down. And I could make them a component. I'm going to do something a little different and make them a group. Now I'm going to go to the top view, and I would like to make an array of these all the way around my capital. So I'm going to choose the Rotate tool, click in the center of the circle, click on my selected group, hold my Control key down, and drag a copy all the way around, and then tell SketchUp how many copies I want in between by hitting the slash key that's under the question mark, and then a number, and then enter. So I chose 10, and that has put 10 of these leaf shapes around the edge of my capital. Now, I want to create a similar group inside of this array. So I'm going to select one, hold my Shift key down, and select all the rest. And edit, make group. And then I will use the Control and the move. Let's go around to the front. Control, move, and move a copy of those up here, up above. I'm going to take this copy, and I'd like to scale this copy so that these are a little bit taller than the other ones. So I'll use my scale tool and pull them down so that they are taller. And I would also like to kind of make them a little bit wider. Let's look at my top and make sure that I'm not distorting them too much. All right, and I think I would like to rotate these so that they seem to stand between the other ones. So I'll rotate them like that. And let's go down to see. Pretty good. It gives me pretty much the effect that I want. I can lower these down just a little. Alright, so I have a capital that seems to have a lot of leaves on it. The next thing that I would like to do, I think you can play with the scale a lot. Sometimes you want to make things look a little fatter or a little thinner. Taller, smaller, whatever. I don't really want to do that right now. So I just wanted to show you that you can. So let's go back to you do copy, and we do scale, and we do rotate. And we need to move these into position a little bit better. Oops. Connecting with some other things over there that I don't really want to rotate. And scale a little bit. That looks about right. Even when something looks right, you do need to keep checking your top view and other views just to make sure that you haven't changed those things. And in this case, I just need to move it, I think, rather than change it too much. It takes a good bit of practice to get used to grabbing the right handles on the scale tool, especially when you're trying to demonstrate something in a hurry sometimes. But there we go. All right, so now I have the capital looking the way that I want it. I need to add these flat spaces above that support the upper elements of the roof. So I'm going to go to top view, and I want to draw a rectangle, and my rectangle should be on top of my pieces here. So I'm just trying to catch an angle where it will draw any size rectangle at all up near the top. And if you can't do that, what you can do is draw a line connecting two of your pieces and then draw your rectangle on top of that line. I'm going to take my rectangle and move it into position. Orbit and make sure. Okay, I don't need that line anymore, so I could select the line and delete it. And I'm going to select my rectangle and pull it up a few inches. Let's say maybe about 10 inches. And I notice that this first rectangle is at an angle. So I'm going to take this. Actually, I should make it a component first before I lift it. So let's select this, make it a component. Double click, push pull 10 inches. And then I'd like to take that and rotate that about 45 degrees. So click my rotate tool, click, click, turn, type in 45, enter. And I want to take this component and I want to make a copy of that by using Control and Move. And I will take that component and rotate that one 45 degrees. I accidentally moved it a little bit when I did that. Now I have something that looks at least a little bit like my picture. You can continue to work in interesting ways if you like. One thing you might like to do is to, let's take this top piece off. If I were to take my arc tool and go along each edge, make sure that I'm always working with the blue dots. Last arc edge. And use my push-pull to push these shapes away. Now let's take this component, and Control move a copy up and go to the top view and orbit that 45 degrees. And now you can see we have those cutaway edges that were in the photograph. Again, you can use this as just a starting place for your own experimentation to get these things just exactly the way you would like them to look. This concludes this tutorial.